Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Tracks in Worship the Easy Way. My name is Matt McCoy. I'm the founder of Loop Community, and I'm excited for this live webinar that's taking place in about 3.5 minutes. So in the meantime, type in where you're from, where you're watching from, the name of your church, and we'll get started soon. See you soon.
Hey guys, this is Matt McCoy, the founder of loopcommunity.com, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you why you should join us at the next Tracks Made Easy live workshop. I'm an Ableton Live certified trainer, and I've also been using Tracks in Worship for almost 20 years now. And I know that when you first get started using Tracks, it can seem really intimidating and scary, but it doesn't have to be that way. At Loop Community, we're all about making complicated things easy so you can focus on leading worship. I really wish that the Tracks Made Easy workshop was around when I first started using Tracks. The workshop is a 4-hour online event that teaches you everything you need to know about using Tracks in worship. You get focused training and the full picture about everything there is to know about using Tracks in worship. In the workshop, we cover the history of Tracks. We cover how to run them in Ableton Live, how to build a set list, how to use MIDI controllers, how to use audio interfaces. We talk about mobile apps and how to use advanced advanced features like sharing tracks with your team and also syncing lyrics and lighting all with MIDI. Another reason that this workshop is great is that it's interactive. You get to ask questions and have them immediately answered. That's so much better than learning from a YouTube video. In this workshop, you get to interact with the instructor, get your questions answered, and learn exactly how you can apply this at your church this weekend. Another reason why I love the Tracks Made Easy workshop is that it's a great way to meet and connect with other worship leaders from all over the world. There are other worship leaders that are in the same boat as you, experiencing the same struggles, the same challenges. Well, at the Tracks Made Easy workshop, you get to meet them and connect, and Loop Community is all about community. Also, if you complete the 4-hour course, you get major street cred and get a certificate saying that you are Loop certified. You also get a free track, and also every person who completes the course gets exclusive discounts on hardware like Track Rig and Looptimus. So that's it. What are you waiting for? Join the club of hundreds of worship leaders who have completed the Tracks Made Easy course and are now officially Loop certified.
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to today's live webinar where in the next hour you're going to learn the easiest way to use multi-tracks in worship. Now, we're going to cover in the next hour everything you need to know about using multi-tracks in worship if you're a beginner, but if you want to dive in even deeper, be sure to join us for the Tracks Made Easy live workshop. You just saw that video there that talks about that. Our next Tracks Made Easy live workshop is coming up this coming Monday. And there's still room to sign up. You can sign up at tracksmadeeasy.com. And it's a 4-hour class, but we cover everything. We go into the history of tracks, how to use Ableton Live, how to use different mobile apps, how to synchronize your tracks with lyrics and lighting, and all sorts of more advanced features. And it's cool because you also get to hang out with worship leaders from all over the world. You get to hang out with me and some of the guys from our staff. And it's just a fun way to meet each other. And also every person who goes through that class gets to be officially Loop Community certified. You get a certificate saying you're Loop Community certified. You also get a free track, and you also get exclusive discounts on Loop Community hardware. And they're discounts we don't offer anywhere else at any other time. So make sure you sign up for the Tracks Made Easy live workshop. It's coming up this Monday. There's still room. Sign up at tracksmadeeasy.com. But today, we're going to spend the next hour together, and we're going to dive into what I think is the easiest way to use multi-tracks in worship. So my name is Matt McCoy, and I'm the founder of loopcommunity.com. We've been around for 10 years, and I've been a worship leader for most of my life, and I've been using tracks in worship since the early 2000s, so for a long time. And I wish that this course was around when I first started using tracks, because I know that implementing and using technology in worship can seem intimidating. And it can seem like, oh man, I just want to focus on leading worship. I don't want to focus on foot controllers and computers and all that kind of thing. But it doesn't have to be intimidating. It doesn't have to be complicated either. And what's been really cool to watch over even just the past 5 years, technology has gotten so simple. The technology behind using tracks in worship has gotten so incredibly simple, much easier than it used to be. And so today I'm going to show you the easiest way to get started if you're brand new to using tracks. So if you guys want, you can type in the comment box. We're live and our team is standing by to answer questions. If you have any questions, make sure you type those into the comment box. Also, for everybody who sticks around for this class, in the end we're going to actually, I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to give everybody a promo code for a track. So for $5 off any app track. So make sure you stick around for that promo code. So what we're going to do today is we're going to dive into the easiest way to use tracks, and that I think is by using a mobile app. This is an app that you can use on your phone, on an iPad, or on a Mac. And you maybe have heard of software called Ableton Live. And Ableton Live is software that worship leaders use and they run on their computer. Well, what we did with this app, this is called Loop Community Prime, what I'm about to show you, is we took all the best features of Ableton Live that a worship leader is going to use, and we put it into a simple, intuitive, easy to use, and best of all, free app that you can use to run tracks in worship. Ableton Live has a lot of features inside of it that you can use to run tracks, but most worship leaders don't use 90% of what Ableton has in it. And it's just a lot of clutter. So what we did is we made a simple app that has just what a worship leader needs, and I'm going to show you that app today. And personally, I've actually completely switched from using Ableton Live to using our mobile app when I lead worship, because the amount of time I save in setting up my tracks, building set lists, is an unbelievable amount of time that I've saved. So let's go and dive in to Prime. I'm going to show you the way that you find it is by going to the App Store. So whether you're on a Mac, I'm going to be using a Mac today for this demonstration, but you could also use your iPhone or an iPad. Just go to the App Store and search for Prime Multitrack App. Hit enter, and it's going to come up here. This is the Prime Multitrack App. It works exactly the same way, essentially on all platforms. So Mac, iOS, iPad, iPhone, whatever it is that you're using, all right? So make sure you download the app. It's a free app, so you don't have to pay anything for the app, which is really awesome. Once you have the app installed, you can pull it up and it's going to look something like this. And it's a very simple, intuitive app interface. What I love about this is that it makes it easy for you to set up a set list and then give the app or the mobile device to a volunteer, and they can easily run it. It doesn't take a lot of training. So what you have here is this is the set list right here in this section, and these are my songs that I have in my set list. Down here are the main controls for the app. So you've got, play, stop, next. You can change the key, the tempo, you can repeat sections, you can fade out sections, you can adjust the volume, all sorts of cool things here. Over here on the left-hand side of the screen, this is your mixer where you can adjust the volume of the different instruments in your track. So let's just say you don't want the drums, you can just turn the drums off. Up here, this is the song overview, and it shows you the overview of the song. So it shows you where in the song you are. So if you're in the verse, you're going to be right here. You can zoom in on that if you want. And that's the main overview of what the app when you're looking at it, okay? Now, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to build a set list together from scratch as if we're going to be leading worship tonight, because I think the easiest way to learn is practical. So how do we actually use this app if we're going to use it tonight at church? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to, if you're brand new to this, you need to create a Loop Community account. So you just need to go to loopcommunity.com and click on Join for Free, and you can create an account here. Once you've created an account, you can start finding all of your songs. So let's just talk about Loop Community for a second. At Loop Community, we sell a couple different types of tracks. We have community tracks, and these are multi-tracks that are made by worship leaders from around the world. So let's just say there's a worship leader in Kansas City and they make a track in their church office for Raise a Hallelujah. Well, they can upload those tracks to Loop Community and share them with other worship leaders. It's a really awesome and affordable way to get tracks. These tracks are the most affordable tracks you'll find anywhere, I promise you. Also, every time you get a community track, you're supporting a local worship leader, so that's kind of cool. We've actually heard some cool stories of worship leaders being able to, I heard of a worship leader being able to pay off their school loans with the money they make from selling community tracks. And how cool is that you know that you're really supporting a local worship leader. The other type of tracks we sell are master tracks, and these are the original tracks from the record label. So if you want the original tracks from Phil Wickham, you can get those as well. And by the way, the colors of these tracks are how they're displayed on the website. So blue is master tracks, green are community tracks, and then we also have premium tracks. These are tracks that we record in our studio to match the arrangement. So these sound really great and they're more affordable. So this might be a really good option for you if you want something that sounds like the original, but you want to save some money. So check out premium tracks too. We also have something called enhancement tracks, which I'll show you down here. On enhancement tracks, these are tracks that are meant to enhance the sound of your band that are all electronic elements. So if you've got a full band, but you really just want to add in some electronic elements, then these are some good options. Here's what one sounds like. Here's one for Won't Stop Now. Let me skip ahead a little bit. So this track plays underneath what your band is playing. Here's one for We Praise You. Let me go and skip ahead.
Loopcommunity.com.
These are really unique tracks because they're all electronic elements that you can kind of put in underneath your full band. So make sure you check out Enhancement Tracks. That's actually a new product we launched recently, and they're really unique. You can't get those anywhere else. So anyways, let's go ahead and start. Let's build a set list. We're going to lead worship tonight, right? So we need some tracks. So let's go to and search. We're going to search for This Is Amazing Grace. All right, so I'm going to type in This Is Amazing. It shows you all the different options we have for This Is Amazing Grace. I'm going to choose the Phil Wickham version. And let's just say we want, here's the master track. Let's just say, though, I want a community track. I want to support a worship leader. So we're going to support Andrew Pica here. We're going to click on his name. And when you're buying tracks for our mobile app, all you need is the in-app only version. And that's $14.99. That's a really affordable option. So let's add that to the cart. That's going to add it. Once we purchase that, it's going to be available in the app. Let's find another song. Let's do Lion and the Lamb. Okay, type in Lion and the Lamb. And we'll do the Bethel music version. And we're going to use the original tracks for this one. So I'm going to click on the blue one. And we're going to choose in-app only. They're a little more expensive, but these are the original tracks. And let's go ahead and search for another song. We'll do Open Up the Heavens. And we're going to use the vertical worship version. And let's do another community track. Let's support Zachary Kellner. All right. And you can always preview the track by just clicking this play button. So what's cool about this is you can kind of hear like different styles and versions of the tracks. So this is Zachary Kellner's kind of creative taste on this. So let's do add to cart on that one. And then also I'm going to want to put some pads in during worship. So I'm going to search for Prime pads. And these are a ton of different pad sounds we can get. Let me go and just play one for you. These are pads that go inside of Prime. Yeah, that's a nice pad. And we're going to use this in between a song to transition, but we're also going to like maybe read a scripture over that section. Awesome. So I'm going to add that to the cart. Again, I only need the in-app only version. All right, once we go through the cart process, we can just check out. And once we've checked out, we can go ahead and go to Prime. Once you've checked out and purchased those, all you have to do is just go to the Prime app and make sure you log in with the same account that you created and purchased those tracks on at Loop Community. So now let's go to Load Setlist in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And we're going to create a brand new setlist. And I'm going to call this August 27th, 2020. We can name it if we want, but we'll just use that name. I'm going to hit create. And it gave us a blank slate. So now we can start building our set list. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on Add Song. And it's going to bring up my song library. These are all of the songs that I have in my Loop Community account. You can filter them by tracks that you've purchased. So the ones that we just purchased from the website should show up here. You can also filter them by tracks that you've uploaded, because you can also upload your own custom audio into the app. You can filter them by split tracks, which we'll talk about split tracks a little later. And then I can also see all my click tracks. I could make just a click, like a metronome, if you want. So we'll talk about that in a second as well. But let's go ahead and start bringing in our tracks. So our first song is going to be Lion and the Lamb. I'm going to search for it. And here it is, Lion and the Lamb. I'm going to click on it. And it says it's already been downloaded to my computer. Now, when you click on it, it's going to show you all the arrangements that you have available. When you first purchase a song, the only arrangement you're going to have available is the original. But I'll show you later how you can actually save custom arrangements. So I'm going to click on Original, and it's going to add that song to my set list. And let's go ahead and add another song. Let's go to Open Up the Heavens. Okay. And actually, let's do Living Hope. I'm going to do Original. Okay. And then let's add another song. And actually, I didn't purchase this one earlier, but let's do Reckless Love by Corey Asbury. I'm going to click Original. And so I've added my songs to my set list. Now let's just say, you know what? We have a fourth song that we didn't buy a track for, but we need a metronome. Well, it's really simple to create a metronome in the app. You just click on Add Song. And at the top, there's a button that says Add Click Track. I'm going to click on that. And it's going to say, well, what do you want to name it? So we're going to be doing How He Loves. Remember that old song? And it's going to be at 72 BPM, and the time signature is 6/8. And the subdivision, I'm going to do it ×2 to add in those eighth notes. I'm going to keep the click accent on and hit create. Now it just gave me a click. So when I press play, I just have a click for How He Loves. So it's really easy to create just a click track. You don't even have to buy tracks to use this app. You could just use it just for a metronome, which is really cool. So let's go back to Lion and the Lamb. We've got our set list. Now let's just say you want to reorder your set list. You can drag these around just like that by just clicking and dragging. So if you want to reorder your songs. Now let's look at Lion and the Lamb, and let's go ahead and press play. And I'm going to show you how the mixer works over here on the left-hand side. 2, 3, 4. So you can solo instruments. If you just want to listen just to the drums, or just the guitar. This could also be a really great rehearsal tool for your band. But let's just say, let's make this realistic, I'm playing acoustic, so we don't need the acoustic. We don't need the drums because we have a drummer. And we have a bass player, so I'm going to turn that down. But we don't have electric guitars, and we don't have percussion, so we're going to keep all of this in here. And let's go ahead and fast forward to this part to kind of hear what it sounds like. And you can kind of customize the volume of the tracks. So now this might be what's more realistic for tonight, I have a full band, but we're going to play on top of this track. And this is going to just help it sound super full. Now I'll tell you what, honestly, I've been using tracks for, almost 20 years now. And if there's any time to use tracks, right now is the time. What I mean by that is because most churches are live streaming on video, and tracks, a lot of the times in a live auditorium when there's people there, sometimes depending on who's mixing the sound, you can't even hear the tracks really. It's more for the band, but on video, tracks make a huge difference. So if you are live streaming your church services and you're not using tracks, I would highly recommend you start using tracks because it will immediately make your live streams sound so much better. Trust me on that one. So here's our set list. We've got Lion and the Lamb. Let's go and look at now Reckless Love. So I'm going to go ahead and let's skip ahead a little bit and let's hit play. 3, 4, 5, 6. We're just going to leave all the instruments up just for this demo. But if we were going to be doing this for real, I might do this. It might just be those instruments. But let's just keep them up for now. Now, Reckless Love, it's a little high in F sharp for me to sing, so I'm actually going to transpose it down here. In the bottom right corner of the screen, you can transpose the song to whatever key you need it to be in. So I can go down. I like doing the song in the key of E. It's better for my voice. So you'll see how easy it is to transpose. It's just one click of a button and all the tracks automatically transpose in real time. There's no audio processing that needs to happen. It happens right as you click the button. And that is a really, really cool feature of Prime because if you're in a rehearsal, and this has happened to me before, you're in a rehearsal and you're like, you know what? I forgot to transpose those tracks. Now you can do it in the rehearsal just by clicking the button and it transposes everything for you. The really cool thing about Prime 2 is that it only transposes the instruments you need to transpose. So it does not transpose the drums or percussion. It only transposes things like keyboards, guitars, pianos, and that just helps all the tracks sound better when you're not transposing too much. So the other thing you can do, as well as transposing, is you can also change the tempo right here. So Reckless Love is at 166, but let's just say you're like, you know what, we want to slow it down a little bit. Just click down. Again, this happens in real time. There's no offline audio processing that needs to happen. Super, super easy to change the key and the tempo. All right. Now, if you get to a track that you're like, you know what, the overall volume of the track is too loud, well, here's a master volume. So when I press play on this and then bring the master down, it's bringing down the volume of the tracks. The click is still there, but it's bringing down and up and adjusting the master volume of the tracks. Now, what this is adjusting are all the blue faders. So the master volume is in blue. That means it's adjusting anything here that's blue. Anything that's blue over here is an instrument track. Anything that's red are obviously, those are your click and your cues. So one of my favorite things about playing along with tracks is that you have that metronome, right, that keeps everybody in time, but you also have the voice that tells everybody where you're going in the song. So let's go ahead and press play. I'll play that for you.
Chorus 3, 4, 5, 6.
So everybody in your band hears exactly where they're going, and I love that about tracks. Now what's cool about Prime is you can actually choose the click sound, and you can also choose the click or the cue voice. So let me go and show you what some of those sound like just so you can get an idea. If you click on the settings icon in the top right corner, you can choose the cue sound. So let's just say we want to have Meredith Andrews lead us through the song, and we want to change the click sound to rim. It sounds like this.
Chorus 3, 4, 5, 6.
Right? Or let's go ahead and try another one. I'm going to change it to, if you need Spanish cues, we can do Felipe and marimba.
Vuelta 2, 3, 4.
Let's do another one. You could do John and beep, which has kind of a different sound to it.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
All right. And the last one, you could do Phil Wickham and a digital sound. This is actually inspired by the Ableton click. For those of you who love the Ableton click.
2, 3, 4.
And that's actually Phil Wickham doing those cues. I remember recording those with him in a hotel room at the Disney resort. And then Pedro, if you need like a Portuguese sound, this is Portuguese language. You have it in Portuguese as well. And we're going to be adding some more languages as well. So I liked using Meredith because I like that the female voice kind of like pierces through the tracks sometimes, which is really nice when the full band's going. I've heard other people say that as well. And my favorite is using the rim sound. So it sounds like this.
Chorus 2, 3.
The other thing
4.
is that whenever there's a song that is under 100 BPM, it's easier for a drummer to stay on time with the click if you add in those eighth notes. So I like changing the click subdivision to ×2. And now it added in those eighth notes. And it makes it easier to stay locked into the click, especially for those slower click songs. Let's look at some of the other settings in here. There's a dark mode if you prefer a dark view. That actually looks really nice right now. You can also adjust the font size if you want to make the font a little larger. You can also, on the click, turn the accent off if you don't want the click accent or the downbeat. And you can also choose whether the click is generated dynamically or not, but we recommend just make sure the app is generating it dynamically for most cases. You can also choose whether the audio is panned or stereo. So right now, since we're listening to it, the tracks, the instruments, are coming out both sides stereo. But if you're going to run this in live performance, you're going to want to make sure pan is turned on. And now you'll hear that the tracks are panned to the right-hand side of the headphone jack, and the click and the cues are panned to the left-hand side.
3, 4.
So these red tracks down here are automatically panned left, and the blue tracks are panned right. Okay, now let's just say, we've got our song. Let's go. We have How He Loves next, and then we have Living Hope. And also what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to customize an arrangement. So let's just say you're in Living Hope, and you're like, you know what? We actually only want to do one verse at the beginning instead of two verses. Well, you can customize the arrangements of tracks inside of Prime. All you have to do is click on the Edit button and choose Edit Arrangement. And now I can right-click on that verse and choose Delete Section. And it deleted that verse entirely. What's cool is that the band cues automatically update to whatever arrangement you create. So now watch what happens.
Verse 2, 2, 3.
It knows to
4.
go right into verse 2 because it knows that I deleted verse 1. Same thing. Let's just say you're like Edit Arrangement, and we're like, you know what? Actually, we want to do another chorus here. Well, you can double click and then choose to add a chorus. And now we have 3 choruses. If you want to move things around, you can also do that. Let's just say you're like, you know what? We're going to do a chorus first, and then we're going to go into a verse. I can just move the verse by just dragging these blocks around. We made it super easy to customize tracks. I'm telling you, I wish this was around when I first started using tracks, because I used to spend hours re-customizing how tracks would work, and then I have to re-export the audio and then re-import it, and took just like an hour. And look at that, what we just did took like 5 seconds. So you can right click on a section and choose delete. You can double click on something to add a new one or delete it, and you can also move them around like this and really create your own custom arrangement for a song, which is a really amazing feature of Prime. So if you didn't know that exists, now you do. So we can customize the arrangement. What's also really cool is, let's just say you're in the song and you're like, you know what? Like, because some people are like, you know what? We want to be spontaneous with our tracks. We want to be able to do another chorus if we are in a chorus and we're feeling it. Well, what you can do is, while you're in the chorus playing it, there's a button down here called repeat or loop. When I click that, it's going to just repeat the same section. So let me go and show you how this works. Let's go to the chorus. I'm going to press play. If you're like, let's do another one, just click the repeat button.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
The cue told the band that we're going to do the chorus again, and then you saw that chorus flashing, basically saying we're going to do it again. It's going to repeat. Now if you click it twice, it's going to repeat forever, infinite. So you could do the chorus now 20 times if you want. So here it goes, it's going to repeat again.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
Right? And it's going to keep doing that until I turn this off. So repeat is a very great function for if you're wanting to repeat spontaneously a section of a song. Also, if you want to bring the tracks out, you can just click the fade out button, and it's going to fade out all of those blue tracks. It's going to keep the click going, and then if you want to bring the tracks back in, you can just click fade again, and it's going to fade in the tracks. I'm actually going to turn the audio back to stereo for us on this demo. So that's the fade out button, fade in button, the repeat button. Now let's talk about spontaneously jumping. And what I mean by that is, well, what happens if you're in the chorus here and you're like, you know what? We want to jump from the chorus to verse 4. Well, how do you do that? Before, back in the day when I first started using tracks, you could not do that. I mean, you could do it with some like wizardry, but it was a lot harder to actually make it happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to press play, and we're going to use a feature called jump time. Under settings, you're going to see the jump time settings, and there's 3 of them. One's called end of section, the other is after 1 bar, and then after 2 bars. So let me show you end of section first. What this means is that when we get to the end of the section, when it gets to the end, it's going to go where I tell it to go. So I'm going to press play, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on verse 4. So I'm going to click on verse 4. Verse 4 lights up, which is basically saying it's coming next. When it gets to the end of the section, it's going to jump to verse 4.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
And then we're right in. Now let's just say you're like, okay, well, what if I want to be a little bit more spontaneous than that? Well, you could change it to after 1 bar. And what this means is that it means that after 1 bar, it's going to go to where you tell it to go. So let's go ahead and press play on the chorus. And I can press verse.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
And there we go. It, after 1 bar, jumped to the verse. Let's do it again. I'll show you. Let's go back into the chorus.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
So you can spontaneously jump in a song and still stay in time with the tracks and the click, which is really, really cool. And the band cues follow you, which is really amazing. And that alone, I think, is worth using Prime, because doing that in other software would be really, really difficult. And Prime is the only one that really does it that way and that precisely. So I would make sure you try out that feature if you have Prime. Really, really cool. Okay, so now what we're going to talk about is transitions, because what we're going to want to do here is, you know, we're going to actually, I want to transition from Lion and the Lamb into Reckless Love, but we're going from the key of B to the key of E So I want to set up a pad in between those two. So let's go and find that pad we purchased. It was a Prime pad. We'll search Prime pad. I'm going to go and add this pad to my set list, and I'm going to drag it up to be second. And we're going to change the key of the pad to E. We're going to go the other way. Here we go. And that way the pad is going to just set us up so we're in the right key when Reckless Love starts. So here's what the pad sounds like. I can turn the click off if I don't want the click. You can also customize the sound of the pad. Which is kind of cool. So I'm going to customize the pad sound. And then we're going to go and talk through just transitions. So I want to go out of Lion and the Lamb, and instead of me having to touch the computer to tell it to go to the next song, I want it to automate. I want to use automated transitions. Well, on the right-hand side of the screen, you're going to see an option that says flow. Flow means transition. So how is it going to go into the next song? By default, it's on this little logo that's a play symbol. What that means is when it gets to the end of the song, it just stops. And then you would have to click on the next song and press play to play that song. That's the default transition, all right? Let's look at the next one. The next one is called Auto Advance. Auto Advance means that when it gets to the end of the song, it's going to stop, load the next song, and start playing the next song right away. And actually, I can show you how that works. Let's go and press play.
In 2, 3, 4.
By the way, you can zoom in on the waveform here by clicking the plus sign. Now there's a lot of dead space here. Let's trim that dead space. The way to trim dead space is to go down here, and you can click on this and then choose end and just bring this back. Let's just say, we're going to trim like 7 seconds off that. Let's do 431. Let's press play again.
2, 3, 4.
Okay, it stopped, and it started the next track automatically. Now that's great, but what if we want it to be a little more smooth? So let's click on another transition. This transition is called overlap. What this means is that when it gets to the end of the song, it's going to start playing the next song, and it's not going to adjust the volumes at all. It's going to keep the volumes all the same, but it's going to just start playing them over one another, overlapping. So let's go and press play.
In 2,
And this is what it'll
3,
sound like.
4.
So there was no fading at all, really, except for the natural fade that's in the audio file itself. Now let's say you want to actually fade the audio. We'll click on it again. This transition is called crossfade, when you see those little lines go like that. What this is going to do is it's the same thing as overlap, but it fades out the audio of the first track and fades in the audio of the second track. This is probably the smoothest transition. Let's go ahead and press play.
In 2, 3, 4.
So it faded it out, faded it in, really smooth transition there. And I'll show you the last transition while we're at it. This one is called trigger. And what this means is when it gets to the end of the song, the click is just going to keep going forever. And this is for those worship leaders who, when you play through a song, you get to the end and you're like, hey, we just want to do another chorus and another bridge. Well, this just keeps the click going so that you can do that on a click. So it would sound something like this.
In 2, 3, 4.
Tracks ended, the click is just going to go on forever and ever and ever, and you could do your down bridge, your down chorus, whatever it is you want to do. And then when you're ready to go to the next song, you just press the next button, and it starts the next song. So you can really customize this to work however you want. What we're going to do for our set list is we're going to use a crossfade, because I want to go into that pad, and then I want to come out of the pad, so I'm going to turn crossfade on this one too, into Reckless Love. Now the pad is 10 minutes long, so I have two options here. I can either trigger the pad manually, this is called crossfade on demand, or I could set up a timer. Let me show you how it would be manually. So I'm going to go ahead and press play. We're coming out of Lion and the Lamb.
4.
Faded into the pad. The pad's going to play. I now have, 10 minutes or so to say whatever I want. I can read a scripture here. Whenever I'm ready, I can press the next button, and this is going to trigger a feature called crossfade on demand. Crossfade on demand works if you have crossfade turned on, enabled, and you press the next button. So when I press next, it's going to start fading out the pad and fading in Reckless Love. Check it out.
Intro 3, 4, 5, 6. Intro 3,
Which makes
4, 5, 6.
for a perfectly smooth transition. Now, if you're anything like me, sometimes I could end up talking a little bit too long, so I like to give myself a timer. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to give myself 1 minute to read the scripture. So all you have to do is just click on the end time. If you press and hold, it's going to actually start jumping in larger increments of time. So we're going to get this back to about a minute. And this is going to make sure that the pad only is going to play for a minute before it starts crossfading into the next song. Here we go. So I have a minute now of this pad. Let's go ahead and press play. I'm going to turn the drums and everything up here. Just for the demo, I think it helps to hear the full band. And I'm pressing spacebar, by the way, to start the track. That's a little keyboard shortcut.
In 2, 3, 4.
All right, we're faded into the pad. Now, it's going to go for the next 40 seconds, and then it's going to start transitioning. So to use this time, I just want to say that I think you guys should join us at the Tracks Made Easy live workshop that's taking place on Monday. There's still room to sign up. Make sure you sign up at tracksmadeeasy.com, and you're going to get officially Loop Community certified. So in about 10 seconds from now, when it gets to 40 seconds, it's going to start Reckless Love. Check it out. Actually, I'm sorry, at 50 seconds, because it's a 10-second buffer. So here it goes. Ready? There we go. So Reckless Love started.
Intro 3, 4, 5, 6.
And now we're into Reckless Love. What's really cool about that
Intro,
feature is
3,
that
4,
you could
5,
really
6.
automate an entire worship set so that, if you're at a church where timing is really important, you could actually set up your worship set ahead of time with all of the transitions and the crossfades and the end times, and you could know that when you press play at the top, it's going to play the exact same amount of length of time, so you can really plan for how long your worship set's going to be. So that's a really cool feature. Those are called transitions or flow inside of Loop Community Prime. Now let's talk about how do you get the audio outside of Prime into your sound system. So what we're going to do is we're going to start just the easy way, okay? And actually, I'm going to show you how I'm doing it today. I'm using my headphone jack on my computer. So the headphone jack on your computer is one output, but actually it has two outputs on it. So it's one jack, but it's two outputs because it's a stereo signal. There's the left side and there's the right side. And we're going to use that in our favor with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the click and the cues go to the left side, pan to the left, and we're going to have all the tracks, those blue instruments, pan to the right. So all you need is a cable that looks like this. This is what I'm actually using today. I've got this cable. It has a headphone jack, and actually I can show you on this camera here. It's a headphone jack, just like this, headphone cable, that splits to two 1/4-inch cables. So I'm going to plug this into my computer or my iPad, whatever I have, and then my click and my cues are going to go out of the left-hand side, which is this cable here, and my instrument tracks are going to go out of the right-hand side, which is this red cable here. On these cables, you know that red is right. Right is red. All right, that's just a way to remember it. Red is right, right is red. So this is left, this is right. Click and cues over here, tracks right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug this cable into a direct box. So let me show you a diagram that I think will be helpful for you. So this is what we're doing today. We're going to come out of our device with one of those cables, the click and cues, and this is what's really cool about this is that Prime does this automatically for you. You actually don't have to route anything. So again, this makes Prime a million times easier. By default, the routing is done for you inside of the app. By default, those red faders there go out of the left-hand side of your headphone jack, right here. And by default, all the blue faders automatically go out of the right-hand side of your headphone jack to the tracks. So then you're going to get two direct boxes. These are like what you would plug your guitar into or a keyboard. You might have an extra one laying around in a church closet somewhere. and you're going to plug these into your sound system. So you want to get the clicking cues to your drummer, so your drummer can hear the clicking cues. Preferably, everybody in your band would hear the clicking cues. So if you have an in-ear monitor system, then that's really easy to do. If you don't have an in-ear monitor system, all you have to do is just get the clicking cues to the drummer. I ran tracks for 5 years without ever hearing the clicking cues, and trust me, it works, it's possible. If you don't have in-ears, that's not the end of the world. It's definitely better if you have in-ears, but it's not the end of the world. You can still use tracks without them. Just get the clicking cues to the drummer, and then the tracks go into the sound system, and you have your sound team crank it. You have to start thinking of your computer or your iPad. You have to start thinking about your tracks as another instrument in your band. So your sound team needs to turn it up, crank the sound so that everybody can hear these tracks, because it's going to really help enhance the sound of your band. So that would be a basic setup. Here's another diagram that shows you if you don't have in-ear monitors, here's an option. It's the same setup, but with the clicking cues, all you do is you just get a really cheap mixer. You can get one on Amazon for like $40, like a 2-channel mixer. Plug the click into channel 1. Then whatever you were sending, like a monitor back by your drummer, unplug that monitor and plug it into channel 2. Then put a pair of headphones in that mixer, and then your drummer on channel 1 can adjust the volume of the click in their headphones, and on channel 2 they can adjust the volume of whatever you were sending that monitor mix. So that's just kind of like a quick hack. I can show you just a really quick, easy way to create an in-ear monitor setup for your drummer. So make sure you take a screenshot of that. If you do not have in-ear monitors, that's a great solution. So let's go to Prime real quick, and let's just pretend we're using, that headphone jack option. Well, all you have to do if you're getting ready to go to start church is you just want to make sure under settings that this is on pan, not stereo. Because again, stereo means that the click is going left and the blue faders are going left and right, both ways, okay? Now, what you want to do instead is have it on pan so that the click and the cues go out of the left-hand side and the tracks go out of the right-hand side. So let's go and press play, and it'll sound like this. So the clicking cues are out of the left-hand side and your tracks are out of the right-hand side. Now, if you want to get a little bit more advanced with audio routing, then you could use an audio interface, and I would recommend using something like this. So let me show it to you on this camera. This is called the Track Rig interface, and it is a device that we actually developed here at Loop Community to make it really easy for worship leaders to use multiple outputs. So when you're using your headphone jack, all of the instruments are going out of one output and they can't adjust it. Let's just say your sound team's like, hey, we want to turn down the guitar. Well, they can't do it because you're just sending it all to them at once. Well, what's cool with this is you can plug this into your iPad or your Mac, and you can send individual tracks out different outputs. So this is a direct box and an interface all combined. It's really awesome. So on the back, you get a USB jack to plug it into your computer, power switch. You also have a 4-port hub if you want to plug in and charge your phone or plug in a MIDI controller like I'm going to show you in a second. And then you have 8 different outputs you can use to send different instruments in your band. Let me show you how this works. It's really simple. So I'm going to just plug this in with this USB cable. So I plugged in the USB cable. We also need to plug in the power cable. And I'm going to turn it on, and you'll see all the lights turn on. Okay, now we're good to go. Let's go ahead and look at Prime. In the top left corner of the screen, there's a devices option. I'm going to choose Loop Community Track Rig. And now Prime is going to use this Track Rig device to send all the output out of. It's not going to use the headphone jack anymore. So all you do is you click on outs, and you can choose which output each instrument goes out. So the clicking cues are going to go out 1, right? It's going to go out output 1 on this. And now I can choose what channels the other instruments go out. So let's just say I want the acoustic to go out 3, background vocals to go out 4, bass to go out 5, drums to go out 6. If you just click on it like that, guitars to go out 7. And I would do that for all the guitars. Whoops, I went around. And let's just say I want percussion to be on 8. So you can customize these however you want. But check it out. Now when I press play, let's look at the track rig, and you can see all the different audio sending to the track rig. So now my clicking cues are over here, and all the different channels that I routed are going here. And you can just plug in XLR cables and plug them right into your sound system. And now your sound team can control the volume of your tracks. This makes mixing tracks amazing. Your sound team is going to love you for this. So make sure you check this out. This is available at trackrig.com, or you can go to the website and click on products at the top and choose track rig, and you can find all the information you need to know about track rig here. But this is a really great device, and it is $4.99, and they are in stock and they ship. So make sure you check this out. This is a really cool option, and it works with any music software. So make sure you check this out. Now the other thing I want to show you is using a foot controller. So let's go ahead and unplug track rig. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to actually use a foot controller to control your tracks. So this is a foot controller called the Looptimus Mini, and it's a small, simple foot controller that you can put down by your feet if you're leading worship. And this is another piece of hardware that we developed here at Loop Community to make it easy for worship leaders to run tracks. It's really small. It has 3 buttons. It has a USB jack, and then it has a jack for a volume pedal if you want to plug in a volume pedal. Let me show you how this works with Prime. I love using this controller when I lead worship with Prime because it's just simple. It's just there's not too much to think about. The last thing I want when I'm leading worship is to be thinking about a bunch of things that I need to be pressing. So I just like that this is a 3-button controller. And what you can do is you can map these buttons to functions inside of Prime. So, and it can be anything you want. You know, like I could make this play and then stop and then next, or I could make this song 1, song 2, song 3, or I could make this play and then transpose and change the tempo, or I could make it play, stop, and then repeat a section, all sorts of things. So there's 3 buttons. But what's really cool is that even though there's 3 buttons, you actually have 6 different commands. So you have 1, 2, 3, and you can press and hold and release, and that's 4. Press and hold, release, and that's 5. Press and hold, release, and that's 6. So you actually have 6 different commands you can use to set this up. So let me show you how this works inside of Prime. It's really easy to set up. We're just going to click on MIDI, the top left corner of the screen. And anything that you see on the screen that has a white box on it can be mapped to a button on the Looptimus controller. So what we're going to do is we're just going to erase the defaults by clicking erase and click OK. Because by default, it's actually set up to work with our Looptimus foot controller, but we want to customize those right now. Let's just try this a few times. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make this button play. So I'm going to click on the play button in Prime and assign that button. You can see it mapped it there. And then I'm going to make this button stop. And then I'm going to make this button next. And I just mapped those just like that. Now let's go ahead and press MIDI to close. And check it out. I mean, this is really simple. Now I could just click with hit with my foot, press this button, and it's going to start the first song. When I'm done playing that song, I could press stop, and I could press next, and it's going to start the next song. Or I could press next. There it goes, crossfade on demand. We're in Reckless Love. That's a really cool way to use crossfade on demand because I could read a scripture, and then when I'm ready to go to the next song, just press this button. Now let's just say you want to actually, let's map a little bit more. Let's go back into MIDI mapping, and we're going to use these other buttons to make maybe this button, if you press and hold it and release, it's going to repeat a section. So if we're like, hey, we're in a chorus, we're going to do it again. Let's repeat. Let's make this button fade out. So I'm going to press and hold, release. That's going to fade out. And let's try using a volume pedal here. So I'm going to plug in a volume pedal. All right. I'm going to plug it in. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust this volume like that, and it maps the volume pedal. And now let's go back to our song and let's press play. Actually, let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
If I want to adjust the volume, I can just move my volume pedal here like this. Pretty cool. We recommend buying the Roland EV5. Works really great with Prime and Looptimus. Let's just say I want to repeat that section. I'm going to press and hold, release.
2, 3,
And I was a little bit too
4.
late on that actually. But let's go and try it on this one. Press and hold, release. And now it's going to repeat that section. You can see it toggled that. Let's say I want to fade out the audio. I can press and hold, release. It triggered the fade out. Let's go ahead and bring it back in. Press and hold, release.
Verse 2.
Here it is.
3,
It's going to repeat.
4.
You can press and hold and release on this one, although we didn't map that one. So let's go and press stop and next. So you can just see how you can actually map this controller to really do whatever it is that you want to do inside of Prime, whatever makes sense to you as a worship leader. Now, if you're wanting to also map the different sections of the song, like if we go to MIDI, you'll see that the sections of the song also have little mappable buttons on it. Well, to do that, you're going to probably need more buttons. And in that case, you're going to want to use a controller that we have also called Looptimus, but it's a bit bigger. Little bigger, but it gives you 6 buttons that you can map to any song. So check this out. I'm going to plug it in USB, and I have pages, so I could have, maybe I'm on song 14. Well, on song 14, I have 6 buttons now per song, A, B, C, D, E, and F. So we could be on song 15, and then this could be the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, the bridge, the outro, the ending or whatever, and then the stop button kills the tracks and stops the tracks. So this is a little bigger, a little more advanced of an option, but this is great for if you're a spontaneous worship leader and you want to really be able to control your tracks and jump around. Make sure you check out the Looptimus. This might be a really good option. But if you want to keep it really simple, then the Looptimus Mini might be a really great option for you. Let me show you where you can get these. If you just go to looptimus.com or go to the website and click on products and then Looptimus. So the Looptimus foot controller is here and you can see all sorts of information about it. This one, the big controller, starts at $299. And then if you go to products and choose Looptimus Mini,